tonight. Root work tonight. Root work tonight. Root work tonight. I'll be feeling so right. I got that root work tonight. Feeling fresh from the morning light. Root work hit me, I'm set for the night. Look good, smell right. Yeah, I'm that type. I gotta let the world know I got that root work tonight. Root work tonight. Yeah, root work tonight. I'll be feeling so right. I got that root work tonight.
All right. That's what it is right there. That is what it is. What's going on, man? We here. I'm late. Yeah, I'm late, but I'm here. I'm late, but I'm here, ladies and gentlemen. What's going on with you guys? We're in the building, ladies and gentlemen. We are in the building. Glad to have y'all tuning in. What's going on with y'all, man? Y'all hop on in here. Let everybody know that we're live right now. I'm just putting everything up on social media. Just putting some things up on that social media. Glad to have y'all in here, by the way. You need to be liking and subscribing to this channel, ladies and gentlemen, because we are all up in here, and I am ready to chop it up with you, ladies and gentlemen. Let me just throw one more thing up, and then we'll be good to go. And I'm going to need you guys to do me a favor. Why don't you guys give me a retweet? Everybody give me a retweet, and bam, there it is. There it is. There it is. Hold on, let me put my phone up. All right, I'm in here. All right. Let me do that. So how you guys living, man? Hope you guys are having a great week so far. Let me see who's in the chat room so far. And let me give you guys some shout outs. Let me shout out the room real quick. We got Charm. What's up, Charm? Sister Charm. Let me shout out to my moderators, Michael Wharton in the building. Shout out to Michael Wharton in the building. Who else we got? We got, let me see, Real Live, Black Rule, Miriam R, Dub V. Much respect to you guys. Much respect to y'all. We're going to chop it up. Y'all let everybody know we're live right now. People are coming in the room early. That's good. People are coming on in here and all that good stuff. I didn't do my Twitter space last night. I try to do the Twitter spaces every night, and then we'll have some edited broadcasts because people religiously like to tune in to my edited Twitter spaces, because if we do them late at night, and it's the most popular X space on Twitter that's consistent. I do the most popular, consistent X space on Twitter. All right? And people like to listen in on the next day. So I didn't get to do it last night. Last night we had things popping at the Hidden History Museum. Shout out to the folks who came through. I posted some images and some videos on my Instagram and some on my Twitter. Oh, they were turning up last night at the Hidden History Museum. It was turned up till like 3 a.m. It was a private party, and it was popping last night. It was really, really popping. The youngins were in there. The youngins were in there getting it in. And real cool vibe. The thing is, when the youngins come party, they get it in. They turn up. They leave a big mess. Because we have different events at the museum. We have everything at the museum. We have birthdays for teens, birthdays for 20-somethings. We have elderly senior birthdays. A few weeks ago, we had some senior citizen birthdays up there. That's the thing about it. The aunties, when they rent the place out and have their event, boy, them aunties make sure everything is spick and span. They make sure to clean everything before they leave. Them FBA aunties make sure they clean up as much as possible. Right before they leave, they be in there mopping, sweeping, wiping stuff down with paper towels. Them aunties, them FBA aunties are just immaculate with making sure things are clean when they leave. Shout out to them. Now, the youngins are different. Boy, they tore that motherfucker up last night. Yeah? They tore it up last night. Boy, they got liquor all on the floor, ice all on the floor, tissue. Somebody threw up in the front. The youngins, boy, they turn up and then disappear. Yeah. Oh yeah. The youngins, yeah, they turn the hell up. It was cracking, but boy, when the music over, the music is done, they get the hell on. Yeah, they threw up in the bathroom. Yeah, the youngins were getting it in. They had a good time though. We had some beautiful sisters up there last night. There was a bunch of AKA sisters. Them AKAs still look great. Shout out to the AKAs. AKAs are beautiful. They've always been beautiful. We had some beautiful sisters in there last night. That's why I was posting pictures. The brothers was like, hey, man, what the hell? Hey, nigga, what's happening? How come you didn't tell us about this? I'm like, it's a private party. It's private. Oh, it was a bunch of fine sisters in there last night. A bunch of fine AKAs. Beautiful sisters in there last night. Line dancing. They were getting it in. So yeah, it was a vibe last night. Yeah, it was a vibe. It was a vibe. You go look at my Instagram. Go look at my Instagram. They were getting it in. Hey, you better thank a union member. Hell, when some of that shit, when they start playing some of that, I had to get out there and groove. They were playing that. What's that song by what's his name? Chef Boy. I'm from the big stuff, the 6 to 8 to 9. I'm from the big. That's the shit. I'm in there grooving with their asses. Yeah. But we're here. We're here, ladies and gentlemen. Somebody said, like I got an S curl. It do look like I kind of, my shit is glistening. That's because of the light. I don't have no S curl though. It's all natural. You know, it looks like it's glistening though. This is no S curl. That's that good FBA living. My hair is glistening. I just got a little conditioner. That's it. All natural. There's nothing, no chemicals, ladies and gentlemen. Look at my hair. It's the light. The light got me glistening. That's what's happening. So you live 15 minutes away from the hidden hit. Yeah, you got to come on through. It must look like I got a Bantu perm. But I dare you. No. No, Lord. No. Just fruits and berries. Yeah. Actually, I need a haircut, to be honest. I don't smoke weed. I just been up to olive oil. It's the lighting. It's the lighting here. So I see some tethers in here. No. This is just FBA hairline. That's all that is. All right. So listen, what's going on here? We got a lot of stuff going on. A lot of stuff going on, ladies and gentlemen. Family, they're talking about World War III again. We're going to talk about war. Yeah, we're talking about war. Right now, they got the stuff going on with Russia and the Ukraine. Ukraine and Russia, they're at war right now. Russia has nuclear weapons. They got some. Do Russia have like the most nuclear bombs in the world? Yeah. And they keep threatening to use them nuclear bombs on the Ukraine. They keep using, say, hey man, y'all better get some act right. Y'all keep messing around. We're gonna get them big things on you. And those tactical nuclear weapons are on the table now. Russia, they're talking about they might use small nuclear weapons on the battlefield called tactical nukes. But it's still deadly. So using that would be that's a big deal. Nobody's used no kind of nuclear bomb since 1945. So Russia's out here like, hey man, I got something. You know, I might not bring the big dogs, but I got some puppies that I can send that bite just as hard. Them puppies can bite you too. I got some puppies I might fly over there. And, you know, that has everybody on alert. Now, NATO, they're getting, you know, their antennas are up. You know, NATO, that's the US, the UK, France, Germany, people like that. And, you know, they got a deal where they protect each other. Ukraine is not technically in NATO, but a lot of NATO countries are helping the Ukraine with money, weapons, intelligence, the whole shebang. The US as well. So now if Russia says, hey, whoever's giving you weapons, Ukraine, I'm about to smack them around a little bit. If Russia tries to hit a NATO connected country, then NATO has to fight back as a group. You see, so that's why the NATO countries are all on high alert right now. You know, the U.S., they're sending troops a little closer, warplanes a little closer to Russia. And they're not fighting directly. They're just doing some just-in-case maneuvering out here. So everybody's kind of watching Russia very closely now. So if Russia were to drop a nuke, and we don't know what Putin is over there doing. We don't know what they got popping, but you know, NATO's going to respond. And the U.S., they've warned that if Russia uses nuclear weapons, there's going to be some serious consequences. That could lead to a chain of effects, chain reaction that starts World War III. So you got other countries that's picking sides now. Some of the little dogs, the littler dogs, China, North Korea, they're watching right now saying, okay, we're going to see who we're going to slide over to when things get hot. So it's getting kind of sticky right now. So a lot of people are trying to stop things from getting crazy. A lot of cyber attacks are happening. Space wars are happening. Satellites, spy drones are used. Russia's hacking other countries. And we've seen them little sky drones and aerial objects that China has been accused of having over here. You see. And NATO, they're moving missile defense systems and tanks near Russia's borders. So it's like basically everybody's got their hand in their pockets right now. Like, hey, what's happening? We're having what they used to call a Mexican standoff with everybody. Everybody got their hands in their pocket making threats. So it's getting very interesting. See, now, again, people fear this scenario because if Russia uses a nuke, other countries going to get pulled in. NATO responds. Russia might say, okay, I'm about to go for broke. We're going to get the big dogs. We ain't going to use the puppies. We're going to get the big dogs. And then we got to use the big dogs. So it'll get nasty. It'll get nasty. So we're trying to see how this thing is going to go. So everybody's watching everything. And then when we see little scenarios where there's little potential sleeper cells running around, because we done opened the border up to so many damn people, little weird attacks that happen on this soil here, it raises concerns. Out there in Boulder, Colorado, they're already labeling it a terrorist attack. Some Muslim guy, threw some Molotov cocktails and injured a bunch of people out there in Boulder, Colorado. Let me show y'all some images and videos of this. There's a white Muslim guy. Hold on one second. Let me show y'all some of this stuff. Where is this stuff? Okay. Yeah, so the guy was out there with his shirt off and yelling at folks. There was some kind of march with Jewish people. The Jewish people were marching for some hostages to be released, some Israeli hostages, something like that. So they do this walk I think they do it every week out here. What was the name of that organization? Yeah, well, I can't forget. It was called Run Something. But hold on, it was an organization, a Jewish organization. They get out there and they kind of march and walk for justice or something like that. So this guy here, let me show y'all him. This is the guy who had the Molotov cocktail and the liquid flammable substance. Hold on one second. Hold on.
We can't do nothing about that. We can't do nothing.
We can.
Not here.
Your friends are this.
Not here, bro. You're not.
He's watching this video right now. He was wearing an orange suit with like something on the back.
Spraying alcohol.
Spraying alcohol, but what he did was he made it look like the chair.
He's drinking Molotov cocktail.
And for us,
Well, we can't do it when he's got Molotov cocktails on
if
him.
you are fighting, you have to
That's what he's got right here. Is Molotov
Alcohol.
alcohol. Get back.
So he's already used some Molotov cocktails on people. Now here's another video. Hold on, let me show another video. Kind of the of what he was
Stay.
So that's kind of, yeah, so he threw a bunch of Molotov cocktails on people. And that's him getting arrested. All right, hold on.
Stay.
Where's him? Okay, that's him. They're arresting him, if y'all can see that. Yeah, so they're arresting him. They're saying this is the guy. Right here, okay. So that's very interesting. It's very, very interesting. So this white Muslim, he's a white Muslim. They described him as a white man, and some of the white supremacists got mad. You know, they want to excommunicate him from whiteness. Now it's a white guy. They arrested him. He's white enough to be arrested without incident. He was white enough to be arrested without incident. He's a Muslim, yeah? He is a Muslim. And see, this is why, and we're going to get into this a little later. See, I don't like using the term the white man because people try to play this game. Hey, such and such ain't really white. And then, see, I like to talk about white supremacy in the context of the system because they try to play the denial of whiteness game when it's convenient. They'll try to find somebody's ethnic background and say, oh, he's a Muslim. He ain't really white. He's Hispanic. He ain't really white. He's Italian. He ain't really white. He's Jewish. He ain't really white. Then they play this game where nobody's white. Yeah? They play this little game where nobody's white. And then they try to play that game. Well, I look white, but I'm not. I'm Puerto Rican. Stop it. Stop. The white guy. That's why I don't like to use the term the white man. You understand? Excuse me. I don't like using that term, and we should stop using that term. Y'all notice I never use that term, the white man. You know why? Let me get into that now. You know why I don't like using that? Because, see, that kind of grants an omnipresence to white males. Referring to systematic injustice as something like the white man, you know, that unintentionally elevates white males into an omnipresent, omnipotent figure, damn near deity. Turns them into like a mythic force that exists everywhere at all times. And that reinforces psychological submission rather than resistance. You understand? See, when you say the white man, that individualizes what's actually a system. See, the white man, that reduces an interlocking system of laws, institutions, and power structures to one single person and a gender. So that really misdirects a lot of attention from the broader network of the collective action of these white supremacists and their policies and their infrastructure that maintains white supremacy. Yeah, the man. Yeah, Dr. Welsing told us about saying the man. Yeah, it was the white man, and then in the 70s, it was like the man. And Dr. Welsing warned us about that. Don't say the man, because when you say the man, you make the white supremacist the end-all, be-all, and the epitome of what a man is. Because Dr. Welsing broke this down. She said, really starting in the 60s, 70s, we started using these terms that infantilized us. We are in a childlike state. The white supremacist puts black men and women in the position of children because you become dependent on these people and you can't really move and operate without them having a hand in what you're doing. So you start calling white males the man. You start calling black women mama. You start calling yourself boy. My boy, it's my home boy. You refer to yourself as boy, homeboy, boy. And then you refer to where you live as the crib. So she broke that down very, very heavily. And that psychological mindset is still there, where we have a lot of black males with a infantilized mindset, where you look at yourself as a minor. That's why so many artists, what's the most common names that rappers have to this day? They got Young and Lil. Young Jock, Young Jeezy, Young Dro, Lil Baby, Lil Wayne, Lil this, Lil that. And I'm not saying that to denigrate these brothers. I'm just giving some psychological context from like the work of our scholar warriors, Dr. Welsing and Neely Fuller. You see? So we have to be very careful with the words we use and how we internalize these words. We got to be very careful about that. Right. Every rapper damn near every other rapper calls himself Young and Lil. Yeah? You turn yourself into an infant. All of these infant names, like baby, Lil Baby, Da Baby, Big Baby this, baby that. Yeah? So we got to really watch that. Because what happens is, using the man and the white man, you basically reinforce the great white father myth. See, that language mirrors old colonizing propaganda. See, the idea of the wise, all-powerful white patriarch who controls everything. See, that myth was used to basically justify genocide, slavery, colonization. And people start internalizing that and reinforcing it within yourself. So we have to reject that. See, that neglects, using the term the white man, it neglects a lot of the non-males and non-white allies of white supremacy. See, white supremacy is not only sustained by white males. There's white women, and you have some other non-white gatekeepers. You got the Myron Gaines, people who ain't black, but who want to be Caucasian, and they look at themselves as dark Caucasians. So the fact that they're desperately trying to get some butter biscuits from the white supremacists, they stomp even harder. So they help maintain that system of white supremacy. And that ignores their collaborators and let them hide behind the myth of a single villain. You see? So we got to watch that. Because some of these non-white others, some of these tethers, they help maintain white supremacy. And what happens is, when we use the white man, that kind of traps black consciousness into the language of folklore. You know, the white man sounds like an old folktale antagonist, like the boogeyman. You understand? Rather than this identifiable power structure. See, that keeps the white man, that keeps the discussion in mythic terms. Yeah, instead of framing it as a real political, legal, and economic system, then you can analyze, you can dismantle it. You understand? When you start saying the white man, okay, who? the white man is gonna get you. Okay, who? So yeah, don't talk like that. No. He's not no omnipresent person. We were talking about some hillbilly in a trailer somewhere, some big back Karen who's practicing white supremacy. Let's stop talking like they're some kind of mythical creatures. They're not. They're not. Because what happens is, using those terms, that suggests that injustice is inevitable and natural. It's not. Describing oppression as the work of the white man, you know what that does? That implies basically that injustice is just the natural outcome of his existence, rather than the result of intentional systems and policies and decisions. So that discourages a lot of organizing and accountability. Yeah. So we got to really watch the language, and that blocks strategic targetings of systems. See, you can't fight the white man because he's not a law. He's not a department. He's not a ruling. That's a vague ghost. You can fight white supremacy. That's why y'all think they get so mad at me all the time by using the term white supremacy? Why y'all think they get mad at me? Boy, the white supremacy, they get so mad at me for using that term. They don't mind you using the white man. They love that. When you say, man, the white man ain't shit. This white man, the white man is crazy. They love that. Okay, yeah, because you're talking about the boogeyman. And they're like, okay, he's talking in vague terms. Okay. Oh, that Negro is mad. He don't know who to be mad at. So he's going to turn that anger on himself. They like that. They love that. When you talk about the white man, you don't know who to go after. You know? You don't know what to target. So what happens, you get that frustration builds up. You start attacking other people who look like your ass out of frustration. Yeah? But see, when you get focused and you ain't, no, I ain't talking about the white man. No, I'm talking about the system of white supremacy. Because see, you can fight white supremacy. You can break that shit down. When we talk about white supremacy, we're talking about police unions. We're talking about biased school systems. You can fight that. We're talking about redlining in real estate. We can fight that. You're talking about anti-black immigration policies. We can fight that. Yeah. So white supremacy makes the enemy visible and actionable, and then you can counter from that enemy. Yeah. Using the term the white man, that psychologically, it really conditions us to look upward and not inward. We say the white man, that creates a vertical power structure, basically, with him on top, just eternally ruling everything. And then that makes black people look upward in fear rather than looking inward and say, hey, let's organize right where we are so we can disrupt and dismantle this system. And using the term the white man, that reduces a lot of accountability for specific acts of harm. See, white supremacy thrives when it's not named directly. Blaming the white man instead of white supremacists, racist institutions, racist policies, see, that allows the perpetrators to evade accountability. And that helps them avoid being directly confronted or exposed. So remember, white supremacy is not a person. It's a coordinated, evolving group strategy rooted in power, law, psychology, and violence. That's why we use white supremacy. That names the ideology, implicates the collaborators, and keeps the focus on the system, not no shadow shit. All right? So the guy who carried out that attack today, there's another white guy. They're trying to deny his whiteness. No. Another white guy. That's what it is. But here's the thing. One thing I want y'all to notice. And let me show y'all this. Because we got to understand how people who, when they're organized, certain things get worded the right way for their communities. So now, this guy attacks some Jewish people. Boy, immediately it's hate crime, targeted hate. It's targeted hate. Hate crime. Politicians are coming out. Oh man, they're copping pleas. They're making statements. Hakeem Jeffries, boy, they jump to the rescue. Okay, which is cool. Hakeem Jeffries, boy, they start making the Jewish community in America is once again the target of a horrific anti-Semitic attack. Oh, man. Anti-Semitism has no place in our nation or anywhere throughout the world. It must be crushed. We stand with the Jewish community. Boy, they never do that for us, boy. That's my problem. See, I want to get into that. That's what I want to get into. And people you deserve politicians standing up for you. I'm not saying you shouldn't have that. You deserve that. And we do too. Why the hell don't we get that? We get attacked all the damn time. Nobody, the politicians don't come out and say, hey, we condemn anti-black racism. Never. They come out and start talking vague. Oh, this was horrible. 20 black people got shot at a Family Dollar store. Yeah, hate is bad. Hate against minorities is horrible. That's why we're going to have a DACA program for these immigrants. What? Yeah? That's the problem I have. You see, they don't do the same for us. And this is where we're going to have to step it up, family. This is where we're going to have to step it up. See, these other groups, they understand how to maintain institutional power and political influence. A lot of the Jewish communities, they got well-established political advocacy groups at AIPAC, the ADL, and others that directly influence lawmakers and control narratives and rapidly mobilize media responses. Black folks, we don't really have a national lobbying force. The minute we try, we got to be real, it gets infiltrated. See, we're the only ones who get infiltrated. When we try to organize like that politically, they start sending ops around us. Just like with the reparations thing, there's so many damn federal ops and agents around the reparations movement. We start getting organized and do some of these task force meetings. It's a clown show. You have people who are clearly sent in there by the dominant society to go in and infiltrate. So other groups, and we got to be, we're not going to beat up on ourselves. We have to understand that a lot of groups don't have the same level of infiltrators that we have, who come in and specifically try to disrupt the movement. We try to get things organized, and they'll plant somebody who's acting like they're an ally and acting like they're down, and they're undermining us all along. They're undermining the movement all along. And I'm telling you from experience, we've had that when we're doing reparations rallies, and the people right next to me were sent in by them alphabet people to disrupt and undermine everything. And I mean, I'm talking about people who are right there close to us. And it's always been like that over here. Now, the reason why a lot of these other groups, they get the political operatives and the political class to stump for them when there's an attack on anybody in their community. They know how to control media narratives. Now, we know there's a lot of people in the media, a lot of Jewish people who are behind the scenes in the media. And the minute you hurt somebody in their community, you got a green light to call it what it is. In contrast, stories about black suffering are basically filtered, delayed, distorted, or just downplayed. Yeah? Unless there's some kind of viral video. And also, with these other groups, family, we got to look at it like this. Other white groups and other non-black groups, there's a perception of innocence with them. Like Jewish people and others, they typically are portrayed as innocent victims when they're attacked. You know what I'm saying? That's why immediately you condemn the attack. You immediately condemn the attack. The minute an Asian person is harmed, condemn. Everything is right out the gate. You condemn. Oh, this is horrible. Stop Asian hate. Oh my God, they ran over some Jewish people. Oh, anti-Semitism is horrible. Stop. Now, when black people get harmed, the victims are scrutinized. The victims are criminalized, and the victims are even blamed. We get harmed. It's like, okay, what was the black person doing before the police got there? What'd you say to the terrorists before they blew up everything? What'd you say to them? It's always, we get questioned and second guessed. You know? So the media, they subconsciously reinforce racial bias by framing attacks on black people with suspicion. There was always something else to it. Yeah? And there's a fear of people in the dominant society and in general being labeled as anti-Semitic. See, there's consequences if you do something to them. You're speaking against Jews or appearing insensitive to their suffering. That leads to immediate consequences and accusations of anti-Semitism, career loss, public shaming. In contrast, anti-black behavior, slurs, policies, there's really no consequences from the dominant society. Not only are there no consequences, shout out to Alonzo Dunn for the super chat. Not only are there no consequences, damn it, you get rewarded. You get rewarded now for being anti-black. Like that white woman, Shiloh, cursed out and called a black special needs child the N-word who's like 5 years old. They gave that woman $1 million in social media money and crowdfunding money. Yeah? So this is where we are. And the thing is, when these other groups are harmed, when Jewish people are harmed, these Jewish organizations, they respond quickly and they speak in a unified voice. So when something happens, they issue press statements, organize vigils, demand legislation, they flood social media. A lot of times with us, we have too many damn operatives around. The responses become disjointed. Hold on, sorry guys, hold on 1 second. Yeah, everything gets disjointed. We start having the Sambo class try to chime in. We have some of the activists trying to put in work. We have people who's trying to make some money from white people. Black people need to stop complaining. We got everybody starting to perform. People start performing left and right. You understand? So the response gets too disjointed where we can't really organize like we need to. And there's been a history of sympathy for other groups and a history of erasure for us. Like the Holocaust, that's universally recognized and taught in school with reverence. Meanwhile, the transatlantic slave trade, the black suffering here in America, it's minimized, whitewashed, and denied to a certain degree. And we got to get into that thing. We got to really, really break that thing down. Because we got to understand how it's important for us to name what has happened and what is happening to us as warfare. We have to label it as warfare, ladies and gentlemen. We have to label that as warfare. Now, family, why hasn't this been framed as warfare? See, listen, let's be real. What's been happening to us is a 400-year war. There's been a 400-year war, ladies and gentlemen, and it hasn't been framed as warfare, one, because white supremacists, they control the narrative, the dominant society, they write history, the media, education, they frame the narrative from their perspective. So if they were to tell the truth and show you that their systematic anti-black violence is actually warfare, that would imply intent, strategy, and moral accountability. And that disrupts that whole myth of American exceptionalism. What was that? America likes to hide behind, they hide their violence behind euphemism. They call slavery labor, lynchings, mob justice, mass incarceration, law and order. And calling it war, that would shatter the illusion of a civil society. See, they do these warlike things to us and then blame us. See, they have to pathologize the victim, not the aggressor. See, black suffering, It's framed as the result of moral framing within us or cultural deficiencies, not as the consequences of a multi-century campaign of destabilization. See, we get targeted and destabilized by these people. And the thing is, see, they don't want to call it war because, see, there's legal and political implications. If it's war, then when we start talking about reparations, that's not a handout of charity. It's owed. Resistance isn't rebellion, it's self-defense. See, and that terrifies the institutions that were built on stolen labor and racial caste systems. And psychological warfare was effective. Generations of black people were taught to basically internalize blame rather than recognize external assault. See, that creates a lot of confusion between being oppressed and simply being unfortunate. You got a lot of black folks out here, to be honest, who think, okay, we just got bad luck. Just bad things be happening. Oh, woe's me, Lord, we just poor niggas, things just be happening to us. No. The things happen to you is not bad luck. It's very, very organized. It's very, very deliberate. This is why what I do, and this is why I get criticized and attacked so much by the dominant society. I don't play that game. I call it what it is, and that's effective to call it what it is. You call that thing what it is. This is warfare. White supremacy is warfare. We have to frame it like that, ladies and gentlemen. We have to frame it as warfare. That's exactly what it is. Slavery was warfare. We were prisoners of war. When we tried to get out, we couldn't free ourselves in many cases. We ultimately did. We would have to live in sanctuary areas like the Great Dismal Swamp. That's why, and I always talk about the swamp, they set up a military training facility at the base of the swamp later on to study. But we were prisoners of war. Remember, the Seminole War, the U.S. government was down there trying to get black folks and put them in slavery. They were fighting the U.S. government back. The government was involved in this thing. We were militarily targeted. We were prisoners of war. We had federal laws that said, okay, go get that person from that state where he's free now, go bring him back and put him back in prison camp, which was a plantation. These were prison camps. No, these are prison camps. What happened when we got, after slavery, when we got our so-called freedom, all that lynching, taking our land, that was warfare. That was warfare. Let's call it what it is. Tulsa, Oklahoma, they're dropping a bomb on a black community. That's the first time a bomb was dropped on U.S. soil. They dropped it on black people. That's warfare, ladies and gentlemen. That is war. We have to call it war. It's very important that we start doing that, especially in relations to our reparations claim. Our reparations claim should be framed in the context of war crimes. It's domestic terrorism. Listen, we got to frame it as warfare so we can get strategic clarity. You don't negotiate with war criminals from a place of hurt feelings. See, we start dealing with these white supremacists, they want to sit down and talk, and then it gets into some truth and reconciliation, and let's talk about our feelings, and let's sing, and let's hug. I'm going to do some deep listening to you Negroes. Tell me how it feels, and I'm not going to give you nothing, but just talk to me. No. We got to get off that hurt feelings bullshit. That's why I don't talk with feelings. I'm all about logic and business. I'm coming in here strategically. I'm talking logic and business. You got to build defense systems. That's how you counter that. You defend yourself. You defend yourself, first of all, by getting on code. Framing this as a war, that allows for strategic and tactical and economic responses, not just no emotional appeals. That's why the white supremacists always come in our circles talking about, I love blacks, dude. I love the blacks. I didn't know. I'm not racist at all, dude. My friends are black. My co-workers, dude. My best buddy is Tyrone at Amazon. Freaking love you guys, man. I just want racism to go away, dude. I'm not the bad guy. Shut up, dude. You're not the bad guy. How do you feel about George Floyd? Well, he shouldn't have been doing drugs, but here we go. Mm-hmm. But see, we gotta frame this as warfare because see that restores agency to black resistance. See, Nat Turner wasn't a madman. The Deacons of Defense weren't militants. See, these were combatants in a war, survival, calling it warfare. That contextualizes resistance as justified and necessary. You see? Because anytime we start saying, hey, we don't want to be subjugated, hey, no, we don't want this, then we're looked at as the aggressors. No, we have to frame it in warfare terms. From slavery, COINTELPRO, I mean, damn, if you really read I've been promising that I'm going to read the COINTELPRO documents. I'm going to do that. Y'all, please remind me. Because the COINTELPRO documents, that is such a clear declaration of war. In the 60s and 70s, what J. Edgar Hoover and his FBI was doing to black people, sabotaging, undermining us, targeting influencers, that's warfare. Creating food deserts, medical apartheid. It's not random. I mean, fam, these folks have done all types of egregious stuff to us. It's a long-term campaign of attrition and domination, and that it's used. They use economic and biological and legal weapons against us. Yeah. If this is war, reparations are restitutions. Yeah, that's restitution. The international community, see, they recognize war crimes. See, we frame this correctly. That positions us for global advocacy, not domestic charity. See, we got to get very serious about this thing, and that prevents a lot of future covert attacks. See, by identifying the pattern that they're doing is warfare. People are trained to basically detect new forms of warfare, like algorithmic bias, weapons, immigration, cultural appropriation, things that go on in a longer tactical campaign. See, if we call it war, we will get a warfare mindset. That's why I'm very strategic. I know it's a war. So that's why I'm always looking at what they do from a strategic standpoint and how to counter them from a strategic standpoint. And when you look at it as war, call it warfare, that builds solidarity and global alliances, see? You frame it as warfare, that opens the channels with other nations who want to be allies and other people within our society who want to be allies to fight against empirical non-justice powers, you see? And that also, it invalidates a lot of the post-racial lies. See, a country that's at war with the people, you can't claim to be post-racial. See, that framing exposes all of the empty slogans about progress for the misdirection it is. Yeah, eugenics was warfare. You know, eugenics was warfare. And then we call it warfare. That educates the next generation for defense. See, if black children understand that they're inheriting basically an intergenerational battlefield, not just a tough neighborhood, you're going to be more likely to build institutions, alliances, and technologies for liberation. You see, once you understand that, that's why we got the Hidden History Museum. That's an example. And we got it in an area where, you know, it's been targeted for gentrification, economic deprivation. You understand? So we got an institution there that acts as a safe zone. Like last night, we had a bunch of young black men and women up there. They were in their mid-20s, and it was packed up there with young people. And many of those young brothers, man, some of them were kind of street cats. But these guys were so thankful and gracious, and they love the aura. See, we set the museum up where you come in and we got we show black excellence. Black excellence and black exceptionalism is surrounding you when you go in there. So you're going to act a certain way. You're going to come in and you're going to act a certain way. You're going to have a certain level of respect. So we get hardcore cats who come in there and they show nothing but love. They come in and they thank us. Yeah, some of y'all been there. Y'all know what it is. Y'all know the energy it's a vibe there. We are going to have another comedy showcase. We are, Jocelyn. We are definitely going to do it. I know everybody's been wanting me to have my own events. We've been having so many private events up there because so many people in the community love it. And I just love the fact that we can get some of these young cats off the streets. We can have them in there enjoying themselves constructively rather than being somewhere where some bullshit is going on. You know what I'm saying? So cats come in there and there's black excellence. So you go in there and you're seeing black excellence. So subconsciously you're like, okay, let me be on my P's and Q's. Let me be on my P's and Q's. Yeah? So it's all love. Yeah, so yeah, the people come in thanking us for putting that in the community. They absolutely love it. Just for the fact that it's in the community. What's up, CJ? Shout out to CJ for CJ the Enforcer from Riverside. CJ, shout out to CJ for the super chat. CJ, have you been to the museum before? You're in Riverside. Shout out to brother CJ. Yeah. But listen, again, it's important for us to frame this stuff as warfare, as a war, because see, that justifies our self-determination. Just like any people who are at war, we are justified in controlling our own culture, economy, education system, defense structures, and framing this as war, that reclaims our psychological sovereignty. And then it's important to confront America with its crimes. We don't let them get away with what they did as just some unfortunate things that happened. See, they try to minimize that shit. They try their best to minimize what happened to us. They try to say, oh, well, you know, there were some bad apples out there. What? Us getting lynched wasn't bad apples. It was a whole community involved. That wasn't no damn bad apples. There was a community involved in that. Well, you know, there are some people who are ignorant and don't know anything about tolerance. No. Them redlining and putting us in housing projects and ghettos, that wasn't because of ignorance. That was very deliberate. They knew what the hell they were doing. They knew exactly what the hell they were doing. Yeah? Come on now. We're not going to play that game. But listen, yeah, we got to confront them with their crimes. Systematic anti-black abuse as war, that forces America to reckon with itself, not as a flawed democracy, but a colonialism project. That we got to replace that with a system of justice. So this has been a quiet war, a loud and quiet war. And we frame it, we frame it like that. That removes the ambiguity of it, and that erases the lies of progress. And that gives us the intellectual and spiritual and strategic capital that we need for the battle. You see? So we got to be very clear about this stuff. Because part of it is to erase and minimize slavery and what that was about. You know, I saw something, PBS did something, and I've seen a few other people do this because they're talking about, and we're talking about this in a movie, by the way, the origins of blue jeans. Blue jeans, do y'all know blue jeans came from slavery? Did y'all know that? They try to talk around that. They try to say, well, the word denim was up there in France, and the word dungaree was from India. No, we ain't talking about just the words. We're talking about jeans as we know it. Blue jeans, that became like an American staple blue jeans had evolved to represent American freedom, rugged individualism, um, hard workers. See, that's what blue jeans represent. But they try to lie. Yeah, y'all know that blue jeans came from slavery. That came from it was they made a cheap cotton specific for us so that we can work and so that the clothes would last. Y'all didn't know that blue jeans came from us in slavery? Yeah, blue jeans made out of cotton. When they talk about, don't let them talk about France and all that bullshit. Ain't no cotton in France. All right, let's stop that bullshit. There's no cotton in France, so don't let them go there. They had something called Negro cloth, which was like a cheap form of cotton. What we did, especially in the Carolinas, we would dye it with indigo, because we knew how to cultivate and work that indigo. That's where the blue dye. That's where they dyed it so that they can cover the stain, so it wouldn't look dirty so easily. They use indigo. Where are my North Carolina, South Carolina people? They were the masters of some of that indigo out there on that black folks out there. Everybody can't work with indigo. You have to know what you're doing in order to turn indigo into a dye. You have to know what you're doing. It's a process. And that's something that black people, we've been doing. We've been doing that forever. We've been knowing how to work with indigo. Indigo, there's almost like a spiritual thing with that plant. You understand? And yeah, we were making those blue jeans, and then Levi Strauss patented it and called it denim and did all this stuff and put some metal things on them and like, voila, look what I did. But no, it was Negro cloth. Yeah, it was Negro cloth. That's what it was called at first. They try to skip over the fact because, again, it's a contradiction. If jeans are representing freedom and American exceptionalism and rugged individualism, well, then how are you going to explain how slaves was wearing it first? Huh? How are you going to say it came out of slavery? Yeah? How are you going to tell the truth? Yeah? But yeah, they saw that it worked well with us on the plantation. We would wear these clothes and you could wear them year after year after year and they would maintain itself. You see, it's some deep stuff out here. It's some real deep stuff out here. Oh yeah, there's some stuff to think about. So yeah, we are phenomenal people. Yes, you're in North Carolina. Shout out to JM. Man. But yeah, man, we got to really just tap in. We got to tap back in to our energies. We got to get back down to the funk. We got to really just get back down to the bare bones of things and really understand what's going on with us. We got to frame this stuff as warfare and call it's been a 400-year war. So we have to start naming things what they are. They're not going to do it. The dominant society, they're going to maintain as long as possible. Things don't change until we change things. You understand? Things don't change until we change things, ladies and gentlemen. That's why we got to start getting more spiritually and Majora grounded. We got to tap back into our Majora spirit. Lately, y'all know what I've been listening to lately to get grounded? I've been listening to a lot of James Brown funk from the 70s, the early 70s. I've been listening to that. Family, if y'all want to really get centered, go back and listen to some of them funk records, particularly between 1969 and 1975. I'm telling you, it's a vibe listening to that. Sometimes I get on my musical kicks. There's certain vibes that I want to get. Just like with Dr. Dre, when he made the first Chronic, he was getting on a vibe. He got centered. He was vibing. He said all he was doing at one point was listening to Parliament Funkadelic. That's all he was listening to. That was grounding him. You understand? He was listening to Parliament. So then he ended up, that grounded him, and he made a masterpiece. He made the Chronic. Yeah, with Bootsy on bass. Yeah, Bootsy, he comes out of James Brown camp. But listening to that, I've just been vibing on that for the last couple of weeks, particularly James Brown's group, the JBs. We know James Brown had a bunch of fly hits, but James Brown, his backing band, he produced albums from them. It was Fred Wesley and those guys called the JBs. And a lot of their stuff was a lot of instrumental records, but it was real funky. They would basically be vamps. It would be like one note, but it would just go on and on. Just like the song Funky Drummer. That's like it's like a vamp, meaning it's like basically one note, one continuous note, and then just kind of throwing some little riffs here and there on top of it with like a funky drum kit going in the background. And a lot of the stuff from the JBs, those are most of the things that were sampled by rap artists and other artists. Most of the stuff that you hear, James Brown is the most sampled artist. He's the most sampled artist ever. Most of the stuff that was sampled from James Brown was sampled from between 1969 and 1975, and most of the songs were from the JBs. If you listen to the JBs, you can hear all types of stuff that was sampled because it was just real stripped down. It also coexisted with the Black Power movement. Why was that? Why was that? That stripped down funk sound, it was like minimalist with a maximum groove. The drums and the bass, that was front and center. So it was locked into a hypnotic pocket to a certain degree. It was repetitious. If you listen, there's a repetition to it. It's a deep bass repetition to it, like a single chord. And it feels almost like a ritual more than a song. And then they're chanting. Instead of really singing verses, it's chant. So there's a repetition of music with chants. It's almost hypnotic, but it's grounding. It has a call and response thing to it. That Southern Black, foundational Black American church tradition. And the music is real interactive. You know, those records, it's so goddamn raw. It sounds like they just did them in one take. You hear James Brown directing everybody. Clyde, give me something. Fred, give me them horns. And when I count to 3, hit me. Yeah. So it's like real down in the mud. It was the antithesis to Motown. See, at the time, Motown was, we're trying to present ourselves a certain way. Oh, we're being pretty. Look at us. We look great. We're going to charm school where we know how to dress. Our hair is going to be immaculate. Well, we're going to have pretty strings. We're going to have crossover appeal, which was good. Motown was the shit. Now, I'm not saying that to criticize. Motown was basically like, hey, we want to be accepted by everybody. We're all one. Hey, blacks and whites, come on, let's get together. Blacks, we got a funky little bass line here, but we got some pretty strings for the white people over here. You white people will like some of these strings we got, and some of these other people will like some of the horns, and it was that. James and that JB funk, it was like, no, this is just going to be black. No, we going to just be black. It ain't going to be pretty. We going to get down, dirty, and funky with it. Everything is going to hit you in your chest. We ain't trying to cross over at all. That was what the music was saying. It's going to be unapologetically black. Yeah? No sweet strings. It's just blackness on its own terms. It's going to be raw, unfiltered. No apologies. Just like the talk of the era. And, you know, Black Power was about confronting oppression with strength. And funk was basically a sonic version of a raised fist. And that music was a body and spirit connection. It didn't make you just move, not just dance, but it activated you. See, that deep funk groove, it was like it syncs with your heartbeat. That funk was like your heart. We were syncing and connecting. That was hitting that Majara in your system. It was hitting that ancestral energy. It was like a drum circle to a certain degree when the way they were playing. It was extremely authentic. Yeah. And, after 68, hope, turned to fire. And funk reflected that. Funk was more aggressive. It was more assertive. It was more black first. Even the songs like The Payback, Get Up, Get Into It, Get Involved, and all that stuff. These were soundtracks to the struggle. And it was like the emphasis was on the groove, and meaning the emphasis is on yourself. See, that groove, the groove demands presence. That groove, that funk groove is meditative. It has a militant vibe. And that gave us a chance to basically reclaim our rhythm, musically and metaphorically. Because rhythm was a form of resistance. Funk and all that stuff, just the way, the whole hit it on the one, you emphasize the first beat of the bar. See, that whole concept was disruptive to Western musical structure anyway. So James said, hey, look, we're going to do something else called funk, and we're not going to do that 2/4, how most pop records were, like the Beatles and all that. No, we're going to hit this bitch on the one, hit it hard, and that's where the emphasis is going to be. We're going to change the whole structure and the flow of the music so that you can groove a little different, so that it hits you a little somewhere different. Yeah? So that stripped down funk vibe, that was the sound of sovereignty to a certain degree. It gave us permission to be primal, precise, powerful, all at once. So it was like a drumbeat of liberation to a certain degree. And we tapped into it. And we vibed off that. That was very important for us to vibe off of. And it made us say, okay, our blackness is something that we don't have to be ashamed of. See, we would have to, during Jim Crow, if we wanted to get down, we had to go down to the juke joint. We had to be quiet to a certain degree. We had to go way off in the cut somewhere. We had to do things in secret. With the funk, that said, okay, look, we're going to be out here loud and proud with it. We're going to let you know what it is. This is what the music is. We're going to bump it loud, play it loud, and emphasize our blackness with pride. Yeah? Yes, indeed. James know how to make that beat drop. So again, y'all need to go listen to the JBs. Listen to some of their albums. You can go on Spotify or Tidal. Listen to the JBs and just vibe off that. You want to hear some musical FBA energy? Go listen to that. I'm telling you, you will get centered because again, it's almost meditative. It's so repetitive. It's the repetition of it. It's almost hypnotic, but it centers you. It really, really gives you a center. Yeah. Yeah, funk is in our soul. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yeah, that Chaswick, that James Brown movie he did was phenomenal. That movie he did was absolutely phenomenal. You got Tidal, that's what's happening. That's what's up. So yeah, man, we got a phenomenal culture, man. Don't let nobody tell you different. Our culture is phenomenal. Our culture is absolutely phenomenal, ladies and gentlemen. And, we got a lot of people trying to get into our circles, a lot of people trying to claim the lineage and all that. Y'all listen to my Twitter spaces. Sometimes it's hilarious when people try to call up and they think we don't know their accents. That's funny as hell to me. People, listen, we're not beating up on folks, but family, we know accents. We kind of know when people are not from the lineage. I hate when people try to cosplay. People try to fake the funk and people try to do the we all melanated so we can all blend in. Family, we know who's who. Because especially with the delineation movement, and again, we're not denigrating anybody, but we know who's who. We know who's not of the lineage. We can kind of sense it. We can sense who's not of the lineage. Like the other day, last night, I was posting some videos of the museum, and there were some tethers who were so mad. Like, look at this shit. Look at these niggas. That's a club, nigga. That is no museum. That's not an insult. Saying that the museum is a club. Yes, that night, it is a club at night. In the daytime, it's a museum. At night, it's a damn club. You damn right. We be clubbing like a motherfucker in there. And that's a beautiful thing. But showing that when tethers see us at the museum having a good time and all them pretty women up in there, and we did it on our own terms, we didn't beg white folks for nothing, boy, that really bugs tethers. That really puts a chap in the tethers' asses. They hate that because they love coming over here telling us how hard they whack. I whack hard, nigga. You don't whack hard like me. And then when we put stuff together that's fly, that's popping, that everybody likes, what is this shit? It's just some uncontrollable, illogical hate. Yeah, it's a museum in the day and a juke joint at night. That's all right. That is all right. Hold on, let me show I'll show something from last night. I'll just show y'all a little piece of how it was going down last night. It was popping last night. We had a damn good time. I'll show a little smidget. Hold on one second. Let me look at my timeline here, show y'all how we were getting it in last night. Where we at? Okay, right here. Let me show y'all a little something. So this is how we were getting it in last night at the lovely Hidden History Museum. Hold on one second. All right, hold on. Where's the video? I want to show where they were in there. They were line dancing in there. They were in there getting in with the line dancing. Hold on. Them sisters was line dancing. I want to show. Where is that? Hold on. Let me show that. They were in there line dancing like a mug. Getting it all the way in. Where is that? Hold on. Oh, yeah. Let me go into my Instagram. Hold on. Hold on one second. Let me go here. There we go. Let me go to my gram and show how we be getting it in at the museum. Hold on. Oh, that's me. Hold on. Let me go. Oh, where am I? Hold on. Wait. Let me go back. There we go. Can y'all hear it? Hold on. Let me put the sound on. They were getting it in. Hold on. They're getting it in there. They were in there getting it popping. They were getting it popping.
What's up, man? I'm live right now on YouTube, so y'all hit that.
All right. So, yeah. I'm telling you, they were in there getting it last night, man. All right. And boy, I was showing that. The tethers was getting so mad. Look at them bitches, them light-skinned bitches. Man. So it was popping in there. Man, well, them cute sisters in there getting it in. So yeah, it was in there popping. Oh yeah, it was popping. You know? And yeah, the tether class, when they see us get some stuff popping without having to tap dance for the white supremacists, oh, they get a bug in their ass. And then speaking of the white supremacists, one of these white supremacists asked on Twitter, hold on, where is that? Where is that image? That Dr. Novinsky guy. Hold on. What did he say? Hold on. Right here. This guy here. He was like, where are the white people? All right. At my video, he's like, where are the white people? I responded, hold on. Where is it? Where did I respond? Hold on. He said, where are the white people? And I gave this is my response to him. Hold on. Because they look at that too. If they see a bunch of black folks enjoying themselves, they start saying, oh, hey, where the white folks at? I don't see no white people. Hold on. And this is what I showed him. I said, hold on. He said, where are the white people? Hold on. And the white people, I said, hell, they outside. Right? That's them. That's them right here outside, chilling. Not invited in that night. Now, there's some other nights. We've had white people there, but just that night, nobody was really invited. So that's what it is. But yeah, we have white nights. We have, yeah. So we had white people come in. We had a bar mitzvah there a few weeks ago. Yeah, they were in there getting it in too. Yeah. So yeah, don't worry about us. Well, how y'all worried about us? Yeah. Like when we started enjoying ourselves, like, hey, where are the white people? How come there are no white people in there? They want to. Why y'all got to be in the mix? All right, y'all come on another night. All right. I mean, why is it mandatory to have you in? Huh? Why is it mandatory for you to come on through? Huh? Good Lord. I'm telling you, when black people are somewhere enjoying themselves, boy, tethers and white supremacists go on alert. I'm like, hey, wait a minute. Why are these Negroes enjoying themselves? Wait a minute. Uh-oh, are they plotting something? And by the way, everybody go to hiddenhistorymuseum.com, ladies and gentlemen. Go to hiddenhistorymuseum.com and make a contribution to the Hidden History Museum, ladies and gentlemen. It's a phenomenal state. I'm so proud that everybody can come. It's a safe space where we can get the youngins off the streets and they can come on in and enjoy themselves. Because they don't, man, look, I talk to a lot of the young folks in the community. They don't want to be out. They don't want to be doing no bullshit. I'm telling you from experience, our young folks, they want to do constructive things. It's up to us to give them the institutions in order to do it. You understand? Them kids come to me all the time. Hey, Mr. Nasheed, can we have a poetry reading here? Can we have a poetry slam? Can we have a rap contest here? Can we have a karaoke night here? You know what I'm saying? They want to do something constructive. I'm glad that we have a venue where they can do it. You know? We keep them out the streets, absolutely. We keep them out the damn streets. That's a great thing. They come on in and they're enjoying themselves. See, a lot of folks get in bullshit because they ain't got no other alternatives. You know? So at least we're doing our part to make sure these kids can come on in and have a good time and get off the streets and just be around like-minded people in a place where there's images of black excellence. You know? So that's our responsibility. You know? But like I said, man, there's a lot of the tether class. Well, they get mad because we're standing on FBA excellence, and folks can't really cosplay no more. So when we do something excellent, we're chopping it up to FBA excellence, and we're not knocking other people. But when we do something exceptional as FBA family, we're going to acknowledge it, and the tethers hate that. That was. There's this dude who got arrested by ICE. Where's this image of this dude? This dude got arrested by ICE, and people are clowning the image. Now this is probably one of them dudes who be like, which nigga? Now hold on. How did you know I'm not FBA, nigga? This dude got arrested by ICE. I posted this and this shit went viral. ICE arrested Abdi Jibril, a criminal alien from Somalia. He has convictions from robbery, menacing, assault, criminal impersonation. He will remain in ICE custody pending an immigration hearing. Like, oh, no, nigga, I am FBA. No, dude, no. Family, we can tell. All right? When we see this, we know this is somebody else. He's not from our lineage. All right? especially with all them little janky crimes. I mean, big head, chapped lips. All right, Dad, okay. Hairline. All right, brother. That's not from our lineage. No. Don't chop none of that up to us. Yeah. He's headed back to his homeland. That's where he's headed back to. Good grief. He is headed for trouble. All right. Yeah, 25. Yeah, I don't believe that nigga's 25 either. That's another thing. Yeah, that shit about him being 25, I don't believe that either. Oh, I don't believe that. Yeah. But anyway, man, let me get off here. I'm going to still try to do a Twitter space live later on tonight. I'm going to still try to do that. But everybody, go to hiddenhistorymuseum.com. Go to hiddenhistorymuseum.com. Make a contribution to the Hidden History Museum and also get this book. Get this phenomenal book right here. Everybody loves this book, Hidden Heroes from A to Z, ladies and gentlemen. Hidden Heroes from A to Z. All right? All right, family. I'm up out of here. Y'all be good. It's been real. Puppy Akute. And Lullavuve to the family, man. Much respect. Also, go